Hello and welcome back to Spanish from Scratch. If you are new to the channel, thank you very much for watching this video. This will be the part 2 and the continuation of direct objects that we saw in the previous video. And in today, we are going to be learning the indirect objects. They are the reason why so many people find this topic very difficult to learn. But don't worry, I'll try my best to make sure that you understand everything, and hopefully by the end of this video, you will be able to spot and to use direct and indirect objects efficiently. Well, without any further ado, let's jump into the whiteboard. Very well guys, so in the previous lesson, we learned that the direct objects are the objects or the animal or the person who receive the effect of the verb directly. Like when we say, I saw him, yo lo vi, or I called her, yo la llamé. In this case, the indirect objects would be the ones that receive the action of the verb indirectly. Okay, I know this sounds confusing, but let me give you an example. Like if we say, I cooked a cake to him. Now, the cake will be the direct object because it received the action of being cooked. And him would be the indirect object because I cooked it for him. Okay, so he's receiving the cake and he's the reason why I did the action. So that's why he's the indirect object. Another example would be, I sent my boss an email. So the email will be the direct object because it's receiving the action of being sent. And my boss will be the indirect object. I say I sent him an email because he is the reason why I'm doing the action. He's receiving the effect, the final effect that I send something and he gets it. And that is the difference in Spanish. So let's take a look at one example. And we have, el cumpleaños de tu papá fue el sábado, ¿verdad? Your father's birthday was on Saturday, right? We say, sí, hicimos una fiesta muy grande. Yes, we made a very big party. ¿Qué le regalaste? Oh, and here's where we have the le. ¿Qué le regalaste? This le will be, what did you gift him? What did you buy him as a gift? So le will be the indirect object pronoun. It stands for tu papá. And we say, le compré unos zapatos y un reloj. I bought him some shoes and a watch. So, le compré unos zapatos y un reloj. Now, let's take a look at these subjects. So, saying as in the direct objects, for a mí would say me, for a ti would say te, for a nosotros would say nos. And now, in the indirect objects, there is a little difference. Now, the male nouns and the female nouns will be combined and use the same object. So we'd say le. And in plural, we will say les. So this is the confusing part. When we are talking about indirect objects, we say le. When they are direct, we say lo and la. In plural, when they are indirect, we say les. And when they are direct, we say los and las. Let's take a look at some examples. And we have, María cocinó un pastel a sus hijos. So, María cooked a cake for her children. So, un pastel, a cake, will be the direct object, and a sus hijos, the indirect object. So, sus hijos is plural, and is third person. So, is ellos. We're going to substitute it with les. Now, in the order is the same as the direct objects. We will place it right before the verb and we say, María les cocinó un pastel. Let's repeat that. María les cocinó un pastel. María cooked them a cake. Let's take a look at this one. El profesor envió la tarea a nosotros por correo. So the professor sent the homework to us by mail. So a nosotros will be the indirect object, and la tarea will be the direct object. So a nosotros we substitute for nos, and we put it before the verb right here. So we say, el profesor nos envió la tarea por correo. One more time. El profesor nos envió la tarea por correo. The professor sent us the homework by mail. Now, let's take a look at the next one. And we'll have, yo escribí una canción para Carla. So I wrote a song for Carla. So a song is the direct object because it's what was written. And Carla is the indirect object because it was written for her. So Carla is a female noun. So we substitute for le. And we put it before the verb. We say, yo le escribí una canción. One more time. Yo le escribí una canción. I wrote her a song. El profesor hizo una pregunta a ti. The professor made a question to you. Ahora tenemos a ti. We substitute for te. And we say, el profesor te hizo una pregunta. One more time. El profesor te hizo una pregunta. The teacher made you a question, asked you a question. Now, let's continue in these ones. And we'll have, voy a comprar un reloj a mi papá. Now we have two verbs, right? Like in the previous video. But it's exactly the same rule. Let's do it. So, a mi papá is a singular masculine noun. So we substitute for le. Saying as the direct objects, we'll have two options. You either put it before voy a, right here, or you attach it to comprar. And we say, le voy a comprar un reloj. One more time. Le voy a comprar un reloj. Or, voy a comprarle un reloj. I'm going to buy him a watch. Voy a comprarle un reloj. Now, here's where it gets a little messy. What happens, guys, if you want to substitute both the direct object and the indirect object in the same sentence? Let's take a look at it. El jefe va a enviar el correo a nosotros. The boss is going to send the mail to us. What we want to say is, he is going to send it to us. So, when this happens, we need to do something. When we substitute both objects, we're going to put the indirect object first and the direct object second in the substitution. So, nosotros is substituted with nos, and el correo is substituted with lo because it's singular and masculine. And we'd say, el jefe nos lo va a enviar. One more time. El jefe nos lo va a enviar. The boss, to us, it is going to send. I know this is very confusing, but let's repeat it. El jefe nos lo va a enviar. But we have two verbs, va and enviar. So another thing we can do, we can put these objects together and attach them both to the second verb. And we say, el jefe va a enviárnoslo. Let's repeat that. El jefe va a enviárnoslo. And this is where most people will have trouble, but the more you practice this, the easier it will get, okay? Let's repeat that one more time. El jefe va a enviárnoslo. So, let's repeat the steps. When you want to substitute both, First, you identify which one is the indirect object and the direct object. Then, you are going to substitute first the indirect object and second the direct object. If you have two verbs, you can put them both before the conjugated verb, or you can attach them both to the non-conjugated verb. Now, let's go with this one. Voy a escribir una carta a mi amigo. I'm going to write a letter to my friend. And we want to say, I'm going to write it for him. Una carta is the direct object and a mi amigo the indirect object. So, a mi amigo. Mi amigo is like him, right? So, we can substitute it for le. Is the indirect object. Le. And una carta is singular and female. So, we say la. And how do we say it? Se la voy a escribir. What? Se la? Where did this se come from? Or voy a escribírsela. Don't worry. Let me explain you this real quick. We have one rule, and is that we cannot have third person direct and indirect objects next to each other. Okay? So for example, when we have this combination le, la, we need to substitute that le into a se. So we have cela. When we have lelo, celo. When we have lelas, celas. And when we have lelos, celos. Alright? But that will be the only cases. So in this case, we had a mi amigo, which is substitute for le, it should be, and una carta for la. But then we have this case, so we make the substitution and we say se la voy a escribir. Se la voy a escribir. Or we can attach it at the end and say voy a escribírsela. One more time. Voy a escribírsela. Now, remember, the more you practice, the easier it will get. I promise you that. Now, let's take a look at this example and we say, le compré unos zapatos nuevos a mi papá. Let's repeat that. Le compré unos zapatos nuevos a mi papá. Now, when we talk about the third person, guys, there is this particularity of Spanish that is called sintagma doble. What this means is that when we talk in the third person, we have the tendency of mentioning the indirect object in the sentence, but also at the same time, the pronoun that substitutes that indirect object. Even if it sounds redundant, in Spanish this is very normal, and if we don't do it, the sentence sounds incorrect, even though it's complete. So we say, le compré, I bought him, unos zapatos nuevos, some new shoes, to my dad. Let's repeat that until it stays here. Le compré unos zapatos nuevos a mi papá. Also, we do this when we do it in the first person. We do it to emphasize who received the action. For example, we say, yo solamente te dije el secreto a ti. I only told you the secret to you. We want to emphasize that to you twice. That's why we repeat the object. Let's repeat that. Yo solamente te dije el secreto a ti. And that will be it for this topic, guys. I know it's not as easy as in other languages, but it's not impossible. You only need to practice it a lot. I recommend you watch the video more than one time if you are having doubts. And also, if you have any questions, feel free to send a message or to leave a comment in this video so I can assist you or I can give you further help. So, how was it, guys? Very challenging? Very easy for you? I know this is not particularly the best part of Spanish, and it can be really hard if it's the first time you see it. But don't worry, I've had many students, and I found out that basic students struggle sometimes with this, intermediate students struggle, and even advanced students struggle with this. Well, even native speakers, we sometimes mess these objects up, so don't worry, it's totally normal, and there is nothing to be ashamed about, because unless you're a native speaker, this sometimes is not as logic as people want to make it seem like, okay? Just keep practicing, and I promise that eventually it will get easier. Now, if you found this video useful, guys, I would really appreciate you subscribe to the channel, or you share this video with someone you think it might find it useful. Also remember, I'm a full-time Spanish teacher, so if you are looking forward to taking private lessons with a native, you will find my teacher's profile in the comment box of this video. So I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.